Marvel's back, baby. We're so back is what everyone is saying after watching Deadpool and Wolverine. Me, on the other hand, not so much. Let's talk about it. Deadpool and Wolverine is directed by Sean Levy, starring Ryan Reynolds back as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman returning as Logan, aka the Wolverine. And the plot of the movie is Deadpool is pulled from his quiet life by the Time Variance Authority, and he partners with a reluctant Wolverine on a journey to save his universe. Keep in mind, I'm not going to talk spoilers. I'm going to have a separate video for that. I'm just going to do non-spoilers here, so I'm going to be very careful on what I say on this review. And to be honest, I was looking forward to Deadpool and Wolverine, one of my more anticipated movies of the year, and this is like Deadpool's entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, there's a whole lot of rights issue in the past, and now Disney bought Fox, and now you're gonna get a lot of mutants in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so when they announced Deadpool and Wolverine, I thought, holy crap, this is like a fan dream come true. Like, this is actually freaking happening. So a lot of hype, a lot of expectations regarding this movie, and I'm sure this movie's making ton of bank at the box office right now because, of course, we all love Deadpool, we all love Wolverine. The actors who play these characters are amazing enough, and to see them reunite together just brings in the fandom and all the nerds to come out in theaters in droves to really see how epic this movie is. And I'm glad to say that I enjoyed the movie, but I didn't love it, and I gotta explain why in this review. So let's start with the good here. The good is that it's an entertaining movie. I mean, Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool, you get the same funny humor and jokes that he always delivers on. I mean, there's never a dull moment in this movie with the jokes, maybe one or few jokes that didn't really hit the landing, but my God, I was really laughing the whole time watching this film. You're gonna get a lot of pop culture references, whether they're old school or new school. You're gonna be laughing throughout the whole movie, and there's some jokes that I don't want to say here, but yo, I was just crying at some of the jokes in this film. Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine is very, very delightful. I mean, the guy looks amazing for his age, and he's freaking shredded, man. This guy is yoked. But I love how he still brings in the emotional core Wolverine that we all know and love. And I love that dynamic that he has with Deadpool as well. Them two really having different viewpoints and all really just hating each other a lot. But at the same time, they do get to become a team later on in the movie. And before forming that team, there's gonna be a lot of fighting, a lot of disagreements, some agreements coming through, but just some of the banter they have together is really, really funny. And considering that this is the first R-rated MCU movie, you're gonna see a lot of bloody fights between these two characters and with other characters that you will see that I'm not gonna spoil here, but there's some delightful fighting scenes in this movie. And yes, there are tons and tons of cameos in this movie that I do not want to say in this video, and I will say they do a good job here, and I think it's way better than the Multiverse of Madness in a way that at least the cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine feel like they have purpose and actually more levity compared to like Multiverse of Madness, where it's like, hey, here's X actor playing X character and just have fun with it. I think Deadpool and Wolverine does a better job with these cameos, and you know, I really don't want to mention who they are, but I'm just so happy to see some of these people on board with this movie. And now let's get to some of the negatives I have with this movie, and that's pretty much the story itself. Without really mentioning some of the plot points in this movie, I do feel like some of the emotional moments are just taken away by jokes. And I mean that as in there's a serious moment happening in the movie and it kind of gets interrupted or cut too short to show something really cool for the audience to be really happy about. But at the same time, I just needed a little bit more explanation of why, you know, So-So character is the way he is. And I feel like it's more just like, here's more talk than show, and I feel like maybe the runtime didn't want to drag too much into it. But then again, there's certain scenes in this movie that could have been taken out to replace maybe just a little more exploration on why, let's say, a Wolverine, you know, why is he so pissed off and sad and becoming a drunk? Why is Deadpool trying to find purpose in life? And of course, we do get to see that in the movie, but I want to see something a little more deeper within that. And they actually showed a little bit of it, but you know, it's kind of hard to explain without going to spoilers, but at the same time, I thought there was an important moment with Deadpool and a character and it kind of just got cut away way too quick, and I wish they resolved that just a bit more. And maybe I'm just being a little bit nitpicky here because I feel like Deadpool 1 and 2 had a lot of heart and emotion. And yeah, they're all funny movies. Yeah, it's meant to be a comedy, but I feel like the emotional beats really do help that movie serve its purpose and really just giving some of the more best moments of those Deadpool movies. And I feel like in Deadpool and Wolverine, we almost had those really good moments that could have been stand out compared to other Marvel movies, almost akin to like a Guardians per se. But you know, it kind of gets drifted away to all the cool jokes, all the cool cameos, all the amazing fights in this movie, and I think it's really meant to entertain you than make you feel a bit emotional. And maybe in some ways I feel like, you know, Deadpool 1 and 2 really gave you those emotional story beats, and Deadpool, you know, and Wolverine is meant to give you the celebration of certain characters, and it's like, hey, guess what, we're in the MCU, let's have a grand time here, let's give the people what they really want. And that's totally fine, because at the end of the day, I still find this movie very entertaining, one of the more entertaining Marvel movies compared to recent ones that we had after Endgame. And sure, the movie kind of acknowledges like, hey, Marvel's at a bit of a low point, let's try to give you the best hits and also give you guys some really interesting tidbits of what may come into future MCU movies or even the multiverse in that particular matter. And my other negatives here that I will explain more in another video is the villains in this movie. Emma Corrin plays Cassandra Nova, who is Charles Xavier's twin sibling, and I find her really creepy in this movie, but I feel like she didn't give enough for me to feel like, you know, there's stakes involved, and I feel like they could have played more into her than another particular villain that I thought he seems kind of cool, but it kind of takes a step back a little bit, and I feel like the character didn't really land some of those evil comedic moments. And that's all I'm gonna say about Deadpool and Wolverine. I'll explain more in my spoiler review, but at the end of the day, I really enjoyed this movie. It's really one of the more entertaining Marvel movies to date. May not be the best movie since Endgame. I still consider that up to like No Way Home and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but I feel like this movie is a step up for Marvel and another win for the studio itself, because I feel like, you know, some people are saying, you know, the MCU is dead and now we're back. The MCU is dead, now we're back. And it's just like, there's a lot of mix and mash here that don't really mesh with the audience. And I feel like Deadpool and Wolverine is gonna give you everything you want for an MCU movie. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people questioning that whether this movie will fix the MCU or will it tarnish the MCU further down, considering that we've been having some, you know, not so good movies and shows. But to answer that question, it kind of moves the needle just a bit. I do feel like the Marvel movies are, you know, are having a little bit of a stale moment where like the quality is not that good, and they're really focusing more on quantity. And I think they kind of realized that to the point where it's like, all right, let's really try to like invest in our movies and not pump out a lot of stuff all at once. Let's just give each movie its time and dedication. And I think Deadpool and Wolverine is an example of that, where they really do put a lot of dedication in this movie, and I really hope they kind of structured their way through, you know, the multiverse situation that Marvel is having right now. But at the end of the day, this movie is still a high recommendation for me. It's entertaining and funny enough that everyone should go watch and see. That's why I'm gonna give it a 4.3 out of 5, despite, you know, having some story elements that didn't really mesh with me, and maybe some minor villain issues that, you know, I think the actors that are playing these villains are great, but some of the material that they were given could have been either explained more or maybe just written off as a whole. Now keep in mind, I will have another video regarding my spoiler thoughts of the movie. I already saw the movie twice, believe it or not. First time I saw it Thursday night, and I just saw it Saturday morning, you know, just to really get my understanding and score of the movie, because, you know, I really enjoy Marvel movies. I always want to give them the benefit of the doubt. These movies may not be for everybody, but I feel like some of the movies are worth watching and worth your time. So yeah, definitely look forward to that video that's coming out hopefully by Monday morning, just to give enough time for people to watch this movie and really get into like all the spoiler details that is worth discussing. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys thought of Deadpool and Wolverine? Leave a comment down below, and let's try to keep the spoilers away in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like the video as well. I do appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.